If you take amlodipine, losartan, or lisinopril for blood pressure, and your numbers have been stuck for years despite taking every pill exactly as prescribed, the problem may not be that the medications are too weak. The problem may be that the medications are working against each other, and the pill added to help with the side effects of the first medication may actually be making the entire situation worse. A study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that more than 1 million prescriptions are written every year for a medication that often doesn't address the actual cause of the problem it was prescribed to treat. That medication may be sitting in your cabinet right now. And later in this video, I'm going to show you a study involving 2 common blood pressure medications that researchers stopped early because the risks became too serious to ignore. But before that makes sense, you need to understand the chain. And the chain starts with your ankles. If you're taking amlodipine, you've probably noticed swelling in your feet or ankles. For many people, that's the first sign something isn't working the way they think it is. Most people assume swollen ankles mean the body is holding too much water. So what happens? A water pill gets added. Seems logical. But here's the surprising part. The swelling caused by amlodipine isn't necessarily caused by excess water. Amlodipine relaxes and widens blood vessels. As those vessels widen, fluid can move into surrounding tissues, especially around the ankles and feet. That's why many people develop swelling. And that's why simply removing water isn't always addressing the real cause. Researchers found that when medications like losartan or lisinopril were used alongside amlodipine, swelling often improved because they addressed the underlying mechanism rather than simply removing fluid. But millions of people never hear that explanation. Instead, they receive a water pill. And that decision can start a chain reaction that affects much more than swollen ankles. Because the water pill doesn't just remove fluid, it also removes something your body desperately needs every single day: magnesium. And once magnesium starts dropping, an entirely different set of problems can begin. Problems that most people never connect to their blood pressure medication. Magnesium is one of the most overlooked minerals in the body. Most people never think about it. Most doctors don't routinely discuss it. But your muscles, nerves, and even your sleep depend on it. And when certain water pills remove magnesium day after day, month after month, the effects can be surprisingly easy to miss. At first, nothing dramatic happens. You don't wake up one morning feeling completely different. Instead, small changes begin appearing. Your legs cramp during the night. You wake up tired even after spending enough hours in bed. You feel restless. Your sleep becomes lighter. And because these symptoms develop gradually, most people never connect them to a medication. They blame stress. They blame aging. They blame getting older. But magnesium plays a critical role in helping the body relax and enter deeper stages of sleep. When levels drop, some people find themselves sleeping more lightly and waking more often throughout the night. And here's where the blood pressure connection becomes important. Blood pressure naturally falls during healthy sleep. That's one reason sleep is so important for cardiovascular health. But when sleep quality suffers night after night, blood pressure control can become more difficult. The result? Your doctor sees higher readings. The medication dose gets increased. The swelling gets worse. The water pill stays. And the cycle continues. Think about how many people are living inside that loop right now without realizing it. The swollen ankles are still there. The nighttime cramps are getting worse. The fatigue keeps building. And every prescription automatically renews every few months. No one stops to ask whether the original solution actually solved the original problem. One older adult spent more than a decade inside that cycle. She was taking amlodipine and a water pill. She experienced dizziness, falls, weakness, and everyone assumed it was simply age. What happened when her medications were finally reviewed changed everything. The woman had been taking amlodipine and a water pill for years. At first, the medications seemed to be doing their job. Her blood pressure looked acceptable on paper. The prescriptions kept getting renewed. Everything appeared fine. But her daily life told a different story. She was becoming increasingly dizzy. Standing up felt unsteady. Walking long distances became difficult. And eventually, she began falling. Like many older adults, she assumed it was simply part of getting older. Her family thought the same thing. Even some of her appointments focused more on her age than on the possibility that her medications might be contributing. But when her treatment plan was finally reviewed carefully, something remarkable happened. The medications that no longer fit her situation were adjusted. Within weeks, the dizziness improved, her balance improved, her confidence improved, and she was able to walk significantly farther than before. Same person, same age, same body. The difference wasn't age. The difference was finally identifying the chain that had been running unnoticed for years. And that's the lesson many people miss. Sometimes the problem isn't one medication. It's the interaction between several medications and the side effects they create together. Now let's talk about Losartan, because Losartan has a benefit that many people taking it have never heard about. Most people know Losartan as a blood pressure medication, and that's true, but it does something else that makes it unique. Losartan can help lower uric acid levels in the body. Why does that matter? Because uric acid is closely linked to gout, the painful joint condition that affects millions of older adults. Researchers have compared Losartan with other blood pressure medications that work in similar ways. Both lowered blood pressure. But Losartan offered an additional benefit by helping reduce uric acid levels. That's one reason many doctors prefer it for patients who have both high blood pressure and gout. So, if you've been taking Losartan and your gout symptoms have remained manageable, that medication may be contributing more than you realize. But here's where things become interesting. The same water pill that may have been added for swelling can sometimes push uric acid levels in the opposite direction, meaning one medication may be trying to lower uric acid while another may be pushing it higher. And that's where the chain becomes even more complicated, because now it's not just about blood pressure anymore. It's about what multiple medications may be doing inside the body at the same time. When most people look at their medications, they look at them one at a time. One pill for blood pressure, one pill for swelling, one pill for something else. But the body doesn't experience them one at a time, it experiences them all together. And that's why medication chains can become difficult to recognize. Let's go back to Losartan and the water pill. Losartan may help reduce uric acid levels. Certain water pills can push uric acid levels higher. One medication may be helping, another may be working against that benefit. And because each prescription is often reviewed separately, many people never realize what's happening. They simply notice that their joints hurt more, their gout seems harder to control, or their symptoms keep changing even though they're taking their medications faithfully. Now let's talk about Lisinopril. Lisinopril is one of the most commonly prescribed blood pressure medications in America. For many patients, it's effective and well tolerated. But like every medication, it comes with effects that deserve monitoring. One of the most important involves potassium. Potassium is critical for normal muscle and heart function. Lisinopril can increase potassium levels in the body. For many people, that's not a problem. But in some situations, especially when kidney function changes or multiple medications are involved, potassium levels can rise higher than expected. That's one reason doctors often monitor kidney function and electrolytes in patients taking these medications. And here's where things can become confusing. Some water pills lower potassium. Lisinopril may increase it. Now you have medications influencing the same mineral in different directions. That's why routine monitoring matters, because symptoms don't always appear right away. Sometimes changes happen quietly, without warning, without obvious signs. Lisinopril is also known for another side effect that many people don't immediately connect to the medication. A dry cough. Not a cold, not allergies, not an infection. Just a persistent cough that doesn't seem to go away. For some people, that cough becomes frustrating enough that they eventually discuss switching to a different medication with their doctor. And that's where another important question enters the conversation. Not, what medication should I stop? But, how are all of my medications working together? Because that's the question that often uncovers the hidden links nobody has been looking at. And the study we've been building towards since the beginning of this video shows exactly why that question matters so much. Now let's go back to the study I mentioned at the beginning, the one that researchers stopped early. Not because it wasn't working, but because the risks became too serious to ignore. The study looked at two common blood pressure medications, Losartan and Lisinopril. Both medications help control blood pressure. Both can be effective when used appropriately. But researchers wanted to see whether combining them would provide even greater protection. At first, the idea seemed reasonable. Lower blood pressure, better outcomes, more protection. But that's not what happened. As the study continued, researchers began seeing a troubling pattern. Patients taking both medications experienced significantly more problems related to kidney function. They also experienced more episodes of dangerously elevated potassium levels. The risks became serious enough that the trial was stopped before its planned completion. Think about what that means. A study designed to run for years was ended early because the combination created more harm than benefit. And that's why medication reviews matter so much. Not because medications are bad, not because doctors are making mistakes, but because every new prescription changes the overall picture. What makes sense when one medication is prescribed may look very different when 3, 4, or 5 medications are involved. And that's especially true for adults over 60. Because as we age, kidney function changes, metabolism changes, the body's ability to process medications changes. What worked perfectly 10 years ago may deserve a second look today. And yet many people stay on exactly the same medication combinations year after year without ever having a complete review of the entire list. Not because anyone is doing something wrong, but because modern healthcare often focuses on solving individual problems one at a time. One appointment, one symptom, one prescription, while the bigger picture quietly grows more complicated. That's why the most important question in this entire video may be this: can we review all of my medications together and make sure they're still working as a system? That single question can change the entire conversation. Because sometimes the issue isn't a specific pill. Sometimes it's the chain that forms when several pills are working together in ways nobody expected. And once you see the chain, you start seeing opportunities to break it. Let's step back for a moment and look at the entire picture. If you've watched this far, you've seen how a single medication can create a side effect, how that side effect can lead to another prescription, how that prescription can affect minerals, sleep, energy, joints, or kidney function, and how, over time, a chain can form that nobody notices because each piece is being viewed separately. That doesn't mean your medications are wrong. It doesn't mean you should stop taking them. And it certainly doesn't mean your doctor is doing anything intentionally harmful. What it means is that medications should be reviewed regularly as a complete system, not just as individual prescriptions. Because your body doesn't experience them one at a time, it experiences all of them together. That's why the most valuable thing you can do after this video is simple. Make a complete medication list. Every prescription, every supplement, every over-the-counter pill. Write them all down. Then bring that list to your next appointment and ask a few specific questions. What is my current potassium level? What is my current magnesium level? Are any of my medications creating side effects that look like new health problems? Are all of these medications still necessary today? Is there anything on this list working against something else? Those questions take less than a minute to ask, but the answers could change the way you feel every day. If you're taking amlodipine and still dealing with ankle swelling, ask whether there's a better strategy. If you're taking a water pill and struggling with cramps, fatigue, or poor sleep, ask whether your magnesium should be checked. If you're taking Lisinopril and have a cough that won't go away, bring it up. And if you're taking multiple blood pressure medications prescribed by different providers, make sure every doctor sees the same complete medication list. Because sometimes, the biggest health improvement doesn't come from adding another pill. Sometimes, it comes from understanding the pills you're already taking. Before you leave, share this video with someone whose blood pressure has been difficult to control despite taking their medications exactly as prescribed. They may not need stronger medication. They may simply need a better conversation. And if you want more practical health information designed specifically for adults over 60, subscribe and turn on notifications. In the next video, we'll look at 5 common over-the-counter medications that can interfere with blood pressure treatment in ways many people never realize. Take care of yourself, stay informed, keep asking questions, and remember, the number on the blood pressure monitor is only part of the story. Understanding the chain behind that number is where real progress begins.